Okay, Will, I want to talk a little bit about what Rite of Passage is. Basically, it's a 5 week cohort. You are our student manager, and basically, we compress 5 years worth of learning about, for me, writing and learning how to use the internet into 5 weeks of instruction. We have 11 live sessions, and those are on Monday and Wednesday nights. And we have students from all over the world. Last time we had, what do we do, like 28 different countries? Is that what it was?
Yep, 28 countries in cohort 3 and others in past cohorts as well. So, yeah.
Nice. And what kind of countries? Like, so we did Singapore, Panama,
Yeah,
where
Panama,
else?
Peru, a lot of folks in Europe. We had the UK, we had France, Hungary, Poland, and then we have folks in India, Indonesia, just kind of all over the world. It's one of the best parts about Rite of Passage. You just meet people who might have similar interests or ideas as you, but you'd probably never meet otherwise without, finding them over the internet. So
Absolutely. So what we do is we have the Monday and Wednesday live sessions, and those are 90 minutes each. And then a couple Saturdays throughout the course, we've added this CrossFit for writing because people come into the course, and what we've realized is that if you build a note-taking system, the chance that you will succeed as an online writer, because writing online rewards people who are prolific, the chance that you will succeed goes way up. So what we do is we start off, we give people the ability to capture all the best things that they read so that they literally have them saved in their smartphones forever. That way they don't lose access to their best ideas. And then what we do is once their note-taking system has been built up, we have our CrossFit for writing. And what we do is in a single afternoon, in 2 hours, people go from not even knowing what they're going to write about to having a full article done and published. And we have iterated this cohort by cohort and actually perfected this system. How do you think about CrossFit for writing, and why do our students call it that?
yeah, so it's called that because it's an intense series of steps where you're producing an entire piece, like you said, over 2 hours. First time we did it last cohort, I'd never done anything like it before. I wrote a piece myself in those 2 hours, and you start and you basically sit there with a stopwatch and say, okay, you have 2 minutes, go find an idea you want to write about. Okay, now you have 3 minutes, go find 5 other notes that relate to that idea. Now you have 4 minutes to write a 100-word abstract about the notes that you've gathered. Then you go into breakout groups where you chat about your idea for 15 minutes with a couple other people, and you come back and you keep pushing. So it's sort of like a group fitness class where if you've ever been to one and they're really riding you hard, they're saying, hey, you got to do this and that, and you're almost annoyed at the instructor because it's so tough. It's applying that train like an athlete model to knowledge work and to writing an article. So it's unique, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really like that analogy of the fitness class. I think that's exactly what it does. Like, you go to a fitness class, you're like, whoa, I totally forgot that I could work so hard, and how the group sort of gets you to work harder. That's a really good analogy. And then on Sundays, what we do is the course is global. And so we have, and this is built for people in Asia, people in Europe, and then people who even do make the live sessions, but they just want extra feedback. We have our Sunday feedback groups where people do come together. We help each other out. And it's not a live session where there's live instruction, but it's just people working together to help each other out. And I think that this is really one of the best parts of Rite of Passage, the way that the community actually comes together. Sometimes I think of it like Coachella, where Coachella, everyone goes and you know that there's going to be the lineup with the people, the big names and the people, the small names. You're like, whoa, I'm going to a music festival. And then with the Sunday feedback sessions and the CrossFit for writing. And then also we do these live city meetups. We have now more than 50 alums in San Francisco and New York City, people in Chicago, Denver, Singapore, London, Munich, Berlin, all over the world, Amsterdam. We have people, now we're really building up a group of people in Nigeria, of all places, and we have local meetups. And so what people do is we take the offline, we bring it online. And what I always say is that the 2010s were about online to offline with dating, right? We saw the rise of Tinder and the whole online dating movement. And now what we're seeing is the same thing happening with friendship. I think that this decade is all about online to offline friendship and people meeting each other through the internet, people who share that burning intellectual curiosity, that ruthless pursuit of knowledge, an ambition that transcends most of the people that they know. And Rite of Passage is a place where all those people can come together. And this is what you're really focused on. So why don't you talk about this? What is it about friendship that you've been thinking a lot about? How have we actually been building friendship into the course? Because making meaningful friendships for us is like the question that we're obsessed with. Yeah. How do we build lifelong friendships in just 5 weeks?
Yeah, exactly. That's the question, right? You have these people who are spread out all over the world, but again, it's a self-selecting group who's going to take Rite of Passage. There's a good chance you'll have other people in the course who are going to have similar interests. You might have read the same blogs, right? A lot of times you'll find that other people have read the same books that you've read or have just similar interests. And so we have all these great students. There's always great potential in the student body. And this, how do we increase the surface area between students so that they can interact, meet people in a meaningful way? So a couple things, Dave, you mentioned the local meetups in cities. So that in-person element is really important. So in LA, for example, we've got a group of 8 to 10 people who've taken Rite of Passage, and every month or two we meet up in sort of a central location, grab burgers, and just kind of talk about ideas, and it's really fun. And again, these are people who are here in my city in LA who I would not have met were it not for this common experience of going through this writing class together. So we have those in cities now all over the world. On top of that, though, there's also the element of just getting people to meet through the course itself. So this time, this round of Rite of Passage, we're rolling out these feedback groups where you're going to be in smaller groups of 10, right? So the overall class will have over 100 students, but we'll have these smaller groups of 10, and you'll meet everybody on Zoom the first night, and then that will be your group to exchange feedback on articles throughout the course. Kind of breaks the class down, like we say, makes a bigger class small. So those are kind of 2 ways. And then on top of that, we have a forum where everyone in the class can interact and just find other people who have similar interests that you want to stay in touch with, and maybe write articles together, maybe found a company together one day. But overall, just getting people meeting is a huge priority for this round of Rite of Passage.
You know, it's funny that you say that. So when I was applying to college, Will, my dad always said, go to a small school, you're going to make more friends. And I said, no, that is not true. I said, if I go to a big state school, there's more people that I can meet. And the bigger the group, the more friends I'm going to make. And I was totally wrong. My dad was 100% right. And what I've discovered is that when you're in these small groups, and this is why we've structured the groups to be small, if you're in a big group and then you have all these small communities, like this is what Harvard does when you go to a Harvard Business School, which is famous for people creating incredible lifelong friendships. Famous. What they do is you're in the same group for all your classes, and you actually stay in the same room. So then the teacher goes around and you have different teachers, but everyone is together, and you get these sections that people get really close by doing. And so what we did was we basically said, how do we take something really big like Rite of Passage and make it really small again? So what we want is we want the increasing returns from scale of having people who are in the local meetups, being able to introduce to people who might be financial advisors, to designers, being able to introduce, my goodness, how many people we had who have like both worked in education, boom, friends. So we have both the increasing returns to scale, but then also we want to make Rite of Passage small. And what we've done is we brought in alumni mentors to basically say, hey, let me help you out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what it was that allowed me to succeed. I am going to help you refine your work and give you some feedback. And then the alumni mentors are also going to foster the community. And it says a lot about Rite of Passage that we'd had an overwhelm of people who wanted to be a part of this community. And now it's time to do these feedback groups.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a great group of volunteers coming back who are going to kind of be paired to each mentor will be paired to one of these feedback groups. And we'll just kind of be there as a voice of someone who's done the class and has advice about how to get the most out of the class, but also just sort of get the conversation going early, right? This whole world of meeting people over the internet and becoming friends on the internet, it's still, the norms are not sort of intuitive to us, right? But I think when people have gone through a class like this and kind of seen it play out and made friends online, it's kind of more obvious how it works. And so those mentors will play that role of just kind of breaking the ice and getting things going, especially in that first week, as people start to get to know the other people in their groups.
Totally. I think that that's something that we haven't done as well of in the past. And one of the places that we're really improving, I think in the first couple of cohorts, we were pretty weak on community for just a bunch of reasons. And this is why I hired you. I mean, your story is you're a Rite of Passage alumni. You showed up remember we got that dinner in Santa Monica. You're one of my Monday Musings readers. You did the first one. You were half in, half out, kind of dipping your toes in the water. Then you came back for the second one. You called me one day and you said, hey, David, I have all these ideas, but you're struggling to cultivate a good community. And quite frankly, I'll admit that's not something that I understand as well as, say, the philosophy of how to write. I'd say most of the concepts are mine, and you've really come in and brought in the community. And I've just sort of stepped back and said, hey, Will, this is your baby, this community. And I think cohort 3, your first time we brought you in sort of working on it on a project basis, so week by week, and you did such a good job that I hired you full time. And so this is really the first time where we get to go all out on community. Yeah. And it's great. This is something that I'm not as good at, and it's sort of for you to focus on.
Yeah, it's been fun kind of coming up with all these different ideas just to how to, again, get people to meet and meet quicker, right? Not take 5 weeks to get to know everyone, but compress that really into the first 5 days. Like yes. We talked about. There's one other thing, I'm excited for Initiation Week, which is new this year. Yeah. We're just kind of talking about all the different meetups we're going to do, but it's our first class is Wednesday and our second class isn't until the following Monday. And so each of those days in between, we're going to have different sessions for either people in different regions of the world to meet each other, or kind of different sessions based on interests. So the first day we'll do a meetup for people in Europe, which is a convenient time in the evening for them. And then we're going to do a student sort of panel, how to get crazy value out of Rite of Passage, bring some of our Rockstar students back for that. And then, just a session for folks in Asia over the weekend, and a Q&A with David, just get to know David. So just different ways to get people engaged that first week. Because we both talked about that first week is when you set the standard for the norms. It's like people don't know these norms of online, and we're going to set the norms and set the culture in that first week, and just have a killer first week, and that'll lead to just a really great community throughout the entire course.
It's funny. I was with one of our alums today, and she said to me, before Rite of Passage, I never made a friend over the internet. Yeah. And that's totally normal. We have both students who have been writing online and want to accelerate their growth, but then also people who are actually new to the internet, who don't have blogs. And that fundamentally is our deep question here. Wow. What is it like? How do we really become one of the first groups to take people who don't use the internet a lot, maybe aren't internet savvy, and then in 5 weeks show them the magic of the internet, whether that's the serendipity of publishing something and having it actually go viral, whether that is the ability to access and have all of your notes and your best idea in your pocket 24/7 for basically the rest of your life, or whether that's the ability to use the internet to meet the kind of like-minded people that you'd never be able to meet otherwise. That's really what that's the question that we're obsessed with. And each cohort is a new and refined answer to that question.
Right. I think it's a lot of these questions don't have just easy answers that are sitting out there waiting to be found, right? How do you get this group of strangers from around the world to get to know each other quickly, and in a meaningful way? And how do you best get people engaging with each other? This is sort of, there is no perfect model of how this is done online right now. And so we're just trying to figure it out as we go. But like you said, each round, each cohort of Rite of Passage, I think we're getting better and better, closer to that fully realized vision of how to best get people to meet online, to share ideas online, and to just build a strong foundation for writing, publishing, and meeting people going into the future. So
absolutely, man. You got the vision. Let's build it.
Let's do it.